Hello everyone! Many of you have asked for making a combo guide for branded synchro. And honestly, I don't like the way of making a combo guide nor spreadsheets, because it makes me feel like I'm teaching some fools who are going to just memorize the combos and get clapped on ladder because they didn't understand how the deck actually works. Instead, I've decided to teach you the art of freestyling with branded by cooking with a bunch of random hands, showcasing what can you do in turn 1 without branded fusion. This part is going to be in solo mode in order to showcase the full potential without being disrupted. First of all, you need to forget whatever you've learnt about branded's turn 1, because this is not how everyone plays the deck. Secondly, you need to pay attention very well because everything we cook is connected in sequence with each other in a complicated way. Grab your coffee, relax, and without further ado, let's get started. With a hand of only Quem and Saronir, what can we accomplish? In this case, the best option to send with Quem is Shrouded, because it can be tributed for Lubellian, and it's an albaz name on field and in grave, and we can use its grave effect as well. Always remember that any albaz monster sent by Quem is rebornable by Dispater after you banish it with any bystial. Now, what the heck are we gonna end on? We're gonna have quite the setup we need to make Dragon Lord on their turn, and that's why I'll go for Sanctfire. Notice that in order to make Dragon Lord on their turn, you need Goldie in Grave plus Cartesia, or Quem in hand, or Grave, which is what we're gonna fulfill. We also gonna end on Mercurier to negate a monster effect, plus Regained will reborn Dispater if they summon a monster. We also have lost to get access for Cartesia on their turn. The Shrouded is still activatable in Grave, thus we gonna cheat out a Branded in white at the end phase for follow up our next turn. I could have also sent Sword instead to grab Goldie when it gets banished. Now let's showcase how you'd get Dragon Lord with this setup so I don't have to do it again later on video. Usually you would want your opponent to summon in order to reborn Dispater before Dragon Lord play, but I don't have to because this isn't an actual duel. Remember, the goal of this video is teaching you the art of freestyling. Thus, I'm not going for any branded fusion line on the entire video. Now let's grab that Spirits, cause it's our best card as long our hand is gas like this. Probably send Mercurier with Spirits seems the right play to banish it with Magnum to search, but sending Albaz is better in order to send Albion from Extra instead of Rindbrum, and to make Cartesia summonable with Albaz in Grave. Now we can get Mercurier engrave by fusing with it in order to banish it with Magnam and trigger another search. We already have Albion engrave, thus sending bystial Lubellion with Grand Guignol is next best target since we have bystial to tribute over. And with the banished Mercurier, we search for Kitt since it's the only Albaz monster we haven't accessed yet. Quem isn't an option for now cause we used our normal summon. Only case you choose Regained over Lost is when you have Dispater engrave. And now we recover Mercurier with Sword before we fusion summon. Foolish Burial should be returned by Kitt, but instead we send Tragedy for follow-up and return the searched Quem. Arguably, you would choose to summon Mirror Jade here, but Sanctfire is my favorite boss because I can summon both Mirror Jade and Dragon Lord with his help on the opponent's turn. Brightest is good option here because we only control one Albaz fusion, and our disruptions aren't face-up on field, thus our field won't get hurt as much as the opponent's. But I choose Red because we have two Albaz engrave, one for Sanctfire and the other for Red to recover if we get called by. Now let's count the disruptions. Red will grab first Albaz and go Mirror Jade with Anaconda, plus a Mercurier plus Retribution special summon negate, and Destroy plus Baldrake, which is a potential 2 disruptions plus Grand Guignol will summon Quem. And if you tributed Mirror Jade for Baldrake effect, you can revive Mirror Jade with Quem again for another banish. And if they somehow played through all this, we hit them with Dragon Lord triple Omni negate through Sanctfire and Goldie setup. And the follow-up is literally unstoppable on next turn since the Lost will search. Cartesia and Spirit's gonna be added back. Retribution will add Branded Fusion. Tragedy will set any branded spell trap back to Aura Field. Plus, Titanclad and Albion sent through Mirror Jade will search at the end phase for an additional Albaz monster and another branded spell or trap. The previous hand maybe was a lot to process, so let's get cooking with more simplified hand like this. Then we do full gas hands later on video. Just to be clear, you will only choose this play I'm going to make right now over Branded Fusion play only if you sense the Ash delay off of Mercurier search. You can then choose to play it safe and make your turn 1 playing around that Ash completely. So let's assume that the Ash check with Gold Sarc is positive. We will grab Shrouded instead of Kitt to play completely around that Ash. Why Shrouded between all Albaz monsters? Because we have Retribution in hand, which we can send it to grave to summon the Shrouded alongside Albaz to make Anaconda. Also, this is the last moment to use Red to fuse before Anaconda locks it from summoning for the rest of the turn. But I'd usually prefer to keep Red as private knowledge disruption during the opponent's turn. And the reason why I used Red this turn is because we can add it back with Retribution anyway. We have like 3 to 4 disruptions with this setup, instead of usually end on nothing if you played right into the ash with Branded Fusion. Another simple hand is this, and the first thing you think of when see this hand is banishing the Mercourier. And if our hand can't help summoning Albion to fuse, then sending Albion with Grand Guignol is the priority. We could have instead sent Lubellion to tribute over Druiswurm to access the lost to grab Mercourier, but we gonna grab the banished Mercourier another way, thus I preferred sending Albion for Branded Trap at the end phase. Our disruption's gonna be a Monster Negate plus Special Summon Negate plus Mirror Jade and Dragon Lord set up for Monster Banish and Triple Omni Negate. Let's increase the gas a little bit, but I know you're dying to see Dispater. I believe I won't need to explain those 3 cards combo because I've done it many times on videos and tournaments, but it's still worth showcasing it. I can now synchro with Quem after she'd done her job using both her effects. You can either send Lubellion to tribute over Dispater or Branded in White, but choosing Branded in White is more optimal because we have Retribution in Grave besides. We can still get access for Lubellion through Grand Guignol. I don't feel I have to count the disruptions anymore, so I'll leave the math for you. And now let's get into a couple of full gas hands. Let's say Quem is always worth the normal summon over Kitt, or even Aluber if you have spirits, because she can reborn whatever Albaz monster you discard with spirits because a monster has left the extra through spirits. So we send Cartesia with Quem because spirits will trigger Quem to reborn Cartesia. Then searching Shrouded because we have Kitt and already accessed all Albaz monsters except him. and search white with Kitt since we have Albaz engrave. Freestyling is always about accessing as many pieces as you can and have them connected to each other with the sequence you see fit, while Swarmer field with bodies for link summon. And therefore we dump Saronir, sending Lost to add it back with Retribution. Now let's use white after making it set up, having Lost fusion body on field and Albaz engrave for mirror jade summon. Now let's increase the gas level to monstrosity. I can't wish for a better hand than this. First, let's search for Magnum Hut since we have Saronir. Then we foolish a tragedy to grab Quem to start our combo the same way you know it before we get out of line in the middle. Always start with Saronir when you banish Mercurier in this play to have early access for Retribution or Lubellian engrave. I guess now you know what we should search. We already have access for Shrouded, Quem, Cartesia, Mercurier, and Shrouded will give us access for Albaz, so the Kitt gonna be the best search here. Having a second bystial in hand is so powerful, cause it means we can get Barone too. Furthermore, we can banish Albaz from grave to summon him with Dispater to make a strong fusion set up with Cartesia. Now let's say goodbye to Quem and Dispater temporarily after they served very well, and hello to Barone and Bystial Lubellian. And since we accessed Dispater, we set Regain to make sure we revive him on next turn when the opponent summons a monster. Otherwise, we'd set Lost. What's next is Cartesia fuse with Albaz into Albion into Grand Guignol. And always check your grave to stay tuned to your progress and the pieces you accessed so you don't accidentally forget anything and mess up your combo. We literally don't need the Grand Guignol send because we have all the gas, but in this case we send Rinbrum for a hidden disruption with Albaz engrave in opponent's turn. And the reason you'd want to access Grand Guignol through Albion is to get 2 dragons on field to summon Seal. Now it's Kitt time to search a disruption and be an extra body for Anaconda. And why would you keep Saronir when you can pop sword to access our banished Mercuria? Usually I'd summon Sanctfire here for Dragon Lord, but I don't need him since we're gonna end on 10 to 12 disruptions depending on how I'm gonna play it out. Beside, I want to get rid of Anaconda so I don't have space issues, so straight up Mirror Jade is the new sexy. Branded Fusion for next turn won't hurt too. So basically this setup could be up to 12 disruptions, distributed between hand, monster zones, back row, and grave, makes it so you don't give a single duck about any sort of board breakers. Besides, until the next turn you can plus up to 8 including recycle effects and follow up. This is the core of the deck without any non-engine. And despite the fusion restriction on branded opening, I still play one copy of it because you can link or synchro before it, unlike deployment, which is why I don't play it, besides the protection of opening mostly is needed. And only play one Aluber because he's a literal ass outside of searching and 100% will get him permed, unlike Quem, which is too Seuss for the opponents that they mostly let it resolve. And cards like Foolish Burial and Gold Sarc is so beneficial to access either Quem or Aluber, based on the situation. Now I'm going to add the hand traps and non-engine and make the shape I've been playing with recently. And unfortunately, playing board breakers in this deck alongside Thrust is not good in this meta, since opponents end on +7 disruptions on average, including Omni negates. Thus, playing big amount of bystials and hand traps is more beneficial. And honestly, I don't care what y'all say about Brightest because the card is too powerful, but in case you don't want to use it, then I recommend playing a second copy of Retribution for stronger recursion. But in my case, I'm good with one Retribution, so I'm putting Brightest back. And I'm not used to play this, but I chose recently to play Kashtira Unicorn package because it's easy 2 bodies on field, which makes Anaconda play more consistent. And for strategic purposes, because when the opponent hand traps me, I get to look at their extra and see what they're playing, which makes me know what I should end on to counter the opponent's deck. You can also play Fenrir, but I prefer the remaining 3 slots to be for Triple T or Fuwalos. In my case, I don't care about Fuwalos. Triple T is great card either first or second. Another engine card that I love to play but dropped it recently is Ecclesia, but I don't usually play Ecclesia without Lulu+Walalith, because the extra space is tight, so I dropped Lulu+Walalith, and therefore Ecclesia. But still, the 2 monsters are great, and you can send Lulu with Gran Guignol to special summon Ecclesia at the end phase to get a ready to trigger Albaz play. And making Albaz play through Ecclesia is better than making it with Quem, because Quem requires Albaz in grave and has to wait until a monster leave the extra to trigger, unlike Ecclesia, which doesn't require Albaz in grave and can trigger to summon Albaz from deck whenever you want in main phase. But even better is Seal, because we're dragon-based deck able to make it easily for triple disruptions, including the same Albaz play to fuse with the opponent, plus spin, or even summon Baldrake or Magnum Hut if you already have Albaz play. And that's why I choose Seal, but this slot is optional for you to play Lulu or Chaos Angel instead if you don't like Seal. And finally there is the Triple T, and that's the final shape of the deck I've been using. And for people who likes to play Super Poly in this deck, you will need Garura and Moodragon in extra deck. Thus I would cut Seal and 1 Mirror Jade plus the Unicorn package in main deck for Super Poly itself. But if you will struggle with 1 Mirror Jade, you can choose to play Garura as only target for Super Poly. But I would personally choose to play 1 Mirror Jade to make the Super Poly play more clutch by playing both Garura and Moodragon. But that's just an option for discussion. Now let's get back to the main list and make something more crazy. I will shift this list from a branded synchro deck into an actual branded bystial control deck with more reliance on synchros and less reliance on fusions. First of all, let's remove all engine bricks, non-engine, and every card that would lock us into fusion only, like this garbage. Then I will increase the bystials into maximum and shove every relevant hand trap inside. Branded Beast is the new bystial Lubellian target alongside Regained since we're making a control deck. Now let's clear space in Extra since the deck is no longer fusion reliant. Lulu-a-Lilith is going to be good in this deck, so it's a good option to play. And now we have the space actually to play Super Poly, and this time it's mandatory, not optional as it was. There is a free slot in Extra, and you can play Chaos Angel, but personally, I will play second Grangwignol, because we play spirits alongside lots of light spellcasters in this deck. First one to send with spirits for search or for its floating effect to summon a Quem or Lulu, and the second to fuse into it. And now I'm satisfied with this shape of deck, but there's one missing piece to fix our hand in lots of situations, which is the bystial Aluber. This card is Albaz name searchable by Lubellian, which will be crucial to make a good turn in a situation where you opened a Cartesia or a handful of bystials. It will make Cartesia summonable, and you can even further go for Dispatter and extend thanks to him being tuner as well. And I did already test this deck in Ranked and got 9 win streak with it. Now let's watch a couple of these replays showcasing how the deck functions. This replay is me cooking with a friend of mine with similar list on stream. Always think of guiding Quem as she rescue whatever she sends from deck if you have spirits. And that's why we're sending Ecclesia to access Goldie, which can potentially give us access for the Cartesia we sent from hand since we have Saronir to easily trigger Goldie. And for same reason we search Albaz waiting to fuse with Cartesia when we access her later on. Notice that you can negate Mirror Jade with Lulu after summoning from extra deck for trigger Mirror Jade to send Albaz fusion, and it will still be live to banish at next turn. Similar to the same play with Rindbrum, but we didn't make it because we already had all gas we needed. We have so many disruptions that we have the privilege to click yes on everything the enemy does.